welcome to Kickin It with Jayde. I'm Jayde, and in this series, we're going to be chatting to guests around the world, London, Miami, New York, South Africa, and all over, about fashion, culture, music, and most importantly, sneakers. Right now, I'm sitting here with Zaid Osman, who is the founder of Sneaker Exchange and Great Africa. Welcome to the studio. What do you think of my setup?
The stuff is too crazy.
Yeah?
I'm
Is it
looking
a
at
vibe?
this cake, I'm just like, what is going on, Kim? That's wild. It's wild.
I feel proud. Also, we're very on brand today.
I see so.
Right, we got the Kim Grade tee,
the very rare
great
tees.
sweats. Hey, yeah, very
things,
sold
very rare
out.
things.
My great teddy. We're very
Issue.
on brand.
The full combo.
The
I see
full
so.
combo.
I see so.
All right, so what we're trying to do here with Kickin It with Jayde is be able to open up the sneaker world and sneaker culture that normally feels very exclusive and very cliquey to the everyday average Joe.
Right.
To be able to understand the lingo that we use, what we're talking about, what are all these terms, why the hype, because a normal person won't understand why you'd spend 220K on a pair of sneakers, you know what I mean?
Right.
So just to make it palatable, make them understand,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like open it up.
100%.
I want to kick off with some icebreaker questions, which are really, really easy. So it'll be like a yes, no, this, that.
All right, let's go.
And just like getting your opinion, so it's not that deep, it's very chilled.
Okay. Cool.
Have you ever licked or sniffed your shoes?
I probably have, yeah. Probably licked them.
Licked them?
Yeah.
Yeah, a fresh sole.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course, straight out the box. New
This is
shoe
what
style,
I'm saying!
Right?
Exactly.
Definitely,
Okay, cool.
definitely.
What's on foot right now? Tell us about it.
These are some TNMXs. Just got them this weekend at Sneaker Exchange.
Shoo.
So yeah, I just decided let me unds them and rock them today.
Hey! Some fresh kicks for the show. I'm here
You
for
know.
it. I believe in that. Okay. Right. What is the best shoe you ever wore in high school? Like a sneaker you remember you're like, yo, that was fire.
Best shoe in high school. It's crazy because like high school was Civies Day every day.
Yeah.
'Cause I grew up in the States.
Yeah.
I think like the one pair that I like remember, it was either high school or middle school, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was the Jordan 4 Cool Grays. I remember I bought this, it was at Dick's Sporting Goods, $110, and I was a UK 6 at the time.
Yeah.
And I spent my own money for that thing. My parents were like, why are you spending $110
That's
on
a lot
shoes?
back then as well.
Dude. Like my parents would always buy me shoes for like $40, $60 max.
Yeah.
And it would be like at the clearance outlets or like somewhere like
Yeah.
on sale, right?
Yeah.
So when I had that thing, I was just like, nah, like that I spent my own money, plowed some snow, cut some grass, and made a plan to get those.
Yes.
Nah, it was
Hustle.
vibes.
Do you have pictures of that still?
I do somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah, I definitely.
You must find and send them for us.
100%,
Yeah.
100%.
What do you rate about the Travis Scott McDonald's collab that just happened? That just dropped. They even dropped a little miniature figurine. Did you see?
Yes. The merch and all of that stuff is crazy as
Yeah.
well. And I mean, I think it's dope to see like, I guess like cultures tying into that type of world. And for me, I'm all about like completely left field collaborations. It's like there's so many collaborations and everything is like always just like expected and it's like, okay, cool. It's very like ordinary and mundane. I'm just like, when something like that happens, it's like, whoa, it's really next level. The
Yeah.
Travis Scott cereal as well. Like,
Yeah.
That stuff is wild. The Reese's,
Because you're a mad cereal bay as well. Like
Dude.
that's your vibe.
and it's so crazy, right? Because the first time it dropped in Paris Fashion Week, during Paris Fashion Week, and I was there, but I left the day it dropped. And it was a very like instant drop. So
Yeah.
it was very like, nobody knew about this at all. And then it just like dropped the day I decided to leave. And I was like, wow, like, like it wasn't meant to be.
Casual flicks of Paris Fashion Week. Shop, we see you. Which artist, rapper, entertainer in South Africa do you like? Yo, this sneaker game is fire.
Artist, rapper game in South Africa, sneaker game is fire.
Can be a
That's
DJ
a tricky one.
even.
Because I mean, there's quite a lot of people. Ricky is obviously there as like
Yeah.
the forefront of it. But Youngster as well is like crazy on the bubbles with like
Actually,
the unwanted kicks,
yeah.
and it's so like low key,
Yeah.
like, but he comes through and it's like just the way he rocks it is completely different to everyone else and all of that vibe. So I mean, I think he's definitely up there.
I mean, there was a whole exhibition there on him and the Cape Town sneaker culture there at Soul DXB that time that we went and everything. The
And
picture in the bathtub, like
yes. Nah, it's wild, and I mean, for that's like, because it's like always those type of stories that don't necessarily get told,
Yeah.
and for me to see that it's like bubble culture and all of that Air Max culture and
Yeah.
all of that type of stuff, it's like it's against the hype, you know.
sure.
So it's like, and dog, like that stuff in Cape Town is like a subculture on its own. It's so wild, and it really needs to get like globally recognized.
Exactly.
But it's, yeah, I mean, I think Youngster's definitely up there. Ricky. I'm just trying to think who else. Like there are some other fire people as well. There's Jayde up there as well.
Ah, yes, sweet. Yes, you're scoring points because you're on my show. But I'll allow it. It's okay.
You see, yeah, no, definitely.
You, I feel like, were one of the very first
Yeah.
in South Africa that was doing it. You were importing sneakers that you
Yeah.
could never ever get here.
Yeah.
And I heard stories that some brands were also like tagged, like, oh no,
Yeah.
Zaid's coming and bringing and selling these things that we can't even.
Yeah.
But now it's become so common and
Yeah.
so normal
Yeah.
that even the major brands internationally and locally have just accepted the reseller game is now
Yeah.
part of the industry.
Right.
What does it mean to someone that has never heard of what's a reseller? What does that mean?
So I mean, I think you'll get a lot of shoes coming out at retail prices. So that's like retailers in South Africa would drop it at a suggested retail price of, let's say, like 2,000 Rand.
Okay.
Oftentimes, because the supply is so limited on it, that shoe immediately will resell for like 5,000-6,000 Rand. So I mean, it's all about supply and demand, and I mean, it's all about like, it's business in the end of the day. You know, if a brand is not going to produce enough to meet their demand with any item, not just shoes, you know, people are going to want it, they're marketing it and all of that type of things, and then there's going to be a secondary market for it. You know, if you can't get it anywhere else, people are going to want to pay whatever they can to buy that shoe.
Yeah.
You know? So I mean, for me, it's like brands, I don't know if they hate resellers or they like frown upon it and all of that stuff, but I'm just like, guys, like, you are the reason that there are resellers.
Exactly.
You know, if you guys really didn't want the secondary market, then just produce more shoes.
Yeah, but if they did that, then the value of the sneaker would drop, right? Because there's so many.
And I mean, it's something that's been going on for ages. You know, it's not like it's necessarily something that's relatively new. Like for me, when I moved back to South Africa, like for me, it was always about bringing access into the market. So it wasn't necessarily about reselling, it was about getting product that wasn't available in the country.
Yeah.
Because again, people would see this stuff online, on music videos, on all of these type of things. And then it was like, how do we actually get the shoes? So for me, I had homies in the States, started importing the stuff down to South Africa, and then just started like selling it to people because they wanted it and they couldn't get it in the country. Then it got to a point where like, I was also noticing that a lot of retailers in South Africa had shoes that were sitting on shelves locally, but globally people were going wild for it.
Trying to find them.
Exactly.
Okay.
So for me, like my first thing when I first saw this, I was like, wait, are these shoes even legit?
Yeah.
But then I'm like, nah, like this is like a place in like Sandton City. It's a place in like Canal Walk. Like it has to be legit. You know? And then it just went to a point of like, cool, I'm going into these stores and I'm asking the people like, yo, how many pairs do you have of this shoe? And they're like, okay, like what size? And I'm like, all sizes. And then they're like looking at me like, what is it? Like, what is? I was probably maybe like 17 at this time. So
Wild.
like, these guys are looking at me like, what is this kid on? Like, you know. And then I'd go into these stores and I'd like speak to the manager and like negotiate pricing to take all of their stock. So they'd give me like 20% off if I took everything. So now I was like, okay, cool. And then what I was doing is buying the stuff locally and flipping it overseas. So I was like, okay, cool. Buying these 20 pairs of Jordan Royal ones or like stuff that people are going wild for right now. Like the Nike Yeezy ones. I was buying them a year after the release. They were sitting on shelves.
And because people didn't know what they were.
Yeah, and I mean, it was retailing at 2,200 Rand while like everything else is at like 1,200. People are like, no, like, you know, what is Kanye West? Like, what is the shoe?
And now it's like, how valuable is that shoe now?
Exactly, that shoe is like, yo, a couple $1,000s. And like, I wish I would have held on to like a few more pairs. Because it's like, yo, I would have been cashed out now nicely. But it's wild. And I mean, I think that's just like the industry at large. It's just like supply and demand, you know, things come and go. There's a whole bunch of sneakers that I had in my past that I don't have now because I mean, also life continues. You know, it's like, I was also looking and saying, okay, cool, how do I use all of these shoes to really build something for me? Like I was able to sell my shoes and open a store. So it's like moments like that, and I look at, okay, cool, like shoes allow me to level up in life.
Exactly.
So it's like, even now there's like shoes that I'm even contemplating selling, like some crazy off-white blazers I can get like 14K for. And I'm like, okay, cool, I didn't pay 14K, I paid a lot less.
Exactly, a lot
less.
Like,
cool, that 14K can allow me to do something else. Or previously what I'd even do is like sell shoes and buy a plane tickets, you know, like go to Paris, go to Tokyo, go wherever, or like even take some shoes with me that side and then go into like different reseller stores that side and selling it to them. And I mean, what that also does, it's networking, because whether I have a brand or sneaker exchange or whatever else, it allows me to connect with these people on a different level. And it's like, you know what, I'm giving them a decent price for these shoes. So like, okay, cool. You know, whenever you're back, let us know when you're in the country and you're having those conversations.
Exactly.
So it's like, for me, it's like, yeah, it's like, and shoes allow me to level up in my career. It's always something that I still love, but I also know that like, whatever shoes I really want, I will be able to get one day. Even if I can't afford it now, it's like, I'm gonna get it. Like,
I'm really glad you touched on the point of the fact that in South Africa it just wasn't attainable and you actually had access to it, and that's why you started the reselling game. Forbes recently did an article on the business of sneakernomics, which was really interesting to read, because they said true sneakerheads started collecting and admiring and all of this for the passion and the pure love, genuine love of the sneaker, right? So a real sneakerhead understands the history of the shoe, how it came to be, all this kind of stuff. And now it's just turned into a profiteering mechanism and industry where super rich kids will come, buy out everything and then resell, and they've actually never given a shit about the sneaker. And true sneakerhead, I mean, like the Clark Kents of the world, there's many of them. They're like, I will never resell my shoes, because resellers are like the scum of the earth. Like, how dare they? No, they're destroying the industry. What's your take on the people that genuinely actually don't care about, you know, the sneaker culture at all and are just in it to make the money?
I mean, look, I mean, with anything that's gonna happen. You know, I mean, if you look at a car, it's like you can have a BMW enthusiast that are like heavy on the E30s and all of those type of stuff for their whole life, you know, rebuilding the engines, doing crazy stuff, and then you'll have like some kid coming out and buying, I don't know, the latest M3 or whatever, you know. It doesn't necessarily make that person a not necessarily like, cool, they love dope stuff, you know, but it doesn't necessarily make them like a heavy car enthusiast.
Exactly.
And I mean, I think it's the same within sneakers. Like, just going back, like me personally, it was always about stories were obviously like very important to me. If you look at like something like the Jeff Staple Nike Dunks, the Pigeons, that stuff like caused a riot when it dropped, you know. And now those shoes are, I know it was like $2,000 for a while, but like recently this whole industry just like shot up, and those things are probably like $8,000 a pair or something like that now, right? And I mean, you'll always have that with any culture or subculture. You'll always have people that are coming in, and you'll always have people that have more money to go out and buy the craziest stuff.
Because they can.
It's like, cool, good for you, you know, but that doesn't necessarily make you the biggest sneakerhead. It just means that you have money and love sneakers. So I mean, I think if you look at a whole bunch of stuff, and for me it's like, I have no hate on that. It's like, cool, you know, go out, buy your dopest stuff. If one day I want to go buy a Lamborghini, I'm going to go buy a Lamborghini. You know, it doesn't make me like a crazy car enthusiast, but I love dope stuff. So it's like, for me, it's like, as long as like the industry opens up and there's more kind of market within that space, I'm all for it. Like, go out there, buy the dopest sneakers if you can afford it. Like, go for it.
Do you?
100%.
To each his own.
Exactly.
I want to try and give like helpful tips to people that are out there and buying on the internet, because a lot of the resellers are now, you can see them on Instagram or whatever, and that's how you shop. What's a really good tip when you want to buy sneakers online and you want to make sure they're not fake?
It's crazy, because there are like a lot of kind of just like tips that you can look at. So like with a lot of stuff, there's like inside tags need to be like this. Then there's also like the actual date on the shoe, like the manufacturing date needs to be a specific date, and you just compare it with like legit pairs. But now there's also like apps out there. I think there's one called Legit Check or Legit, something like that. And you take a few pictures, upload it, and then they'll come back and say, okay, cool, it's passed, it's fake or whatever. But I mean, also then you'll have like, I guess in the States and all of that stuff, you'll have more events like your sneaker cons and all of that stuff, where they'll have like a station where people can authenticate their sneakers.
Oh, dope.
But also nowadays, like, fakes are so good. Like,
yeah,
you know,
it's scary.
It's wild,
yeah,
it's wild. Because again, it goes back to that same point of somebody that has all the money in the world can still get
buy a
caught buying
snake.
fakes.
Yeah.
You know? And
a fake. Yeah,
and it's
Young Zanzi Sneakers put a whole thing on I saw on their Twitter and Instagram. They were like, oh, we need to start calling out the celebs that are seen rocking fake Jordan 1s. And you're like, sometimes, but just, you know, that's where you got to be smart of where you're buying your sneakers from,
exactly.
right?
And I mean, for me, it's like, the fake industry is, it's always going to be there. The same way you have fake people, you're going to have fake sneakers.
Hey!
You know, so it's like, so it's there.
Facts.
You know, like constantly. It's something that's, you know, with anything. It's like even on cars, you have fake rims. You know, it's like, I think it's something that we always need to look at and say, okay, cool, how do we kind of progress? Like, what are some of the structures that can be put in place? It's like, okay, cool, if you're worried about fakes, maybe buy it from authentic places. You know, there are a lot of authentic sneaker stores in Joburg.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's your La Familias, whether it's your Back Doors or whatever the store it is, there are legit people that do genuinely care about the culture and are going to make sure the shoes that they're selling you are not fake.
For sure. So Zaid, you founded the largest sneaker event on the continent. You've traveled all over with it, even like sold DXB. But now like Grade is your baby and you're doing more and more exciting collaborations, things with, you know, Kim Jayde, Nomuzi, Grasshopper, like wild collaborations. I believe you have something exciting coming up. Do you want to spill the tea?
Yeah, dude, like, and for me right now with Grade, I'm just having like the most fun.
Yeah.
Like, I'm genuinely enjoying it. Like, I really took it back to very much of like the basics and like also just looking at like, for me, it's like I want to be able to create a brand that allows us to tell our story from wherever we are in the world, but more specifically from the continent. So it's like the continent to the rest of the world. And for me also, it's like growing up in the States, there's a lot of stuff that inspires me. There's a lot of stuff that influenced me growing up in the States. There's a lot of stuff that I come back to South Africa and I'm like, wow, this stuff is like influenced so many generations. So even just like with the Grasshopper stuff, it was so crazy because it was like, at first it's like, you know, you needed to go back and like justify to these guys and they're like, okay, cool, you know, we know you have Sneaker Exchange, but like, you know, okay, cool, this Grade property is kind of cool, but like, okay, cool, what is happening? And yeah, like they allowed us to do, it was their first footwear collaboration, our first footwear collaboration.
Wild.
So now this is like a heritage brand from like 1960, I think, somewhere around there. And it's like, that was really wild because we created 2 pairs of footwear, high top, low top, and it was like so wild. But then we did like a shoot, Hyson Abayati picked up the article and it just like blew. It was like, whoa. Now we're getting like online orders from like all across the world and I'm just like, whoa, this is crazy, right? So now obviously like taking all of that feedback back to Grasshopper, they're like, oh, like, okay.
Yeah, this is what we did with your brand. You're welcome.
Exactly, right? So yeah, we got some exciting projects coming up with them still. There's just like a bunch of projects. One that is like, for me, this one is like super crazy. Like no one knows about this yet, so it's like a next level exclusive. But because you Kim, I'm gonna give you the exclusive. But yeah, it's like an official collaboration with FUBU.
Get out! A great FUBU collab for us, by us here.
Dude.
That's wild.
Yeah, dude. And like, this thing is so crazy because it's like going back and forth with them again. And it's like, just looking and saying, okay, cool, like where does the story come from? What are we aligning it to? And all of that type of stuff. And for me, it's like, it's that hustle of FUBU. You know, if you look back, it's like, even just like, some of the stuff that like Damon John and all of them were doing, it's like there was nothing like it before. And in the sense of being black and starting your own fashion brand and then being able to distribute this product into Macy's, to be able to have licenses all across the world. I think they've like made over like $6 billion in sales, something crazy like that, right? And it's so crazy because FUBU is a brand that anybody can resonate with. Like I'm speaking to my mom and she knows what FUBU is. You know, it's like, oh, like, yo, that's crazy. You know, it's like, I remember we used to go to Macy's and buy that for you and da 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 da. And I'm like, and like for me, it's just like, it's such an unbelievable type space to be in. And then I'm looking at this stuff and I'm also like, so that's like one for 2020. There's another one that I can't disclose just yet. And even like, I just signed some stuff for 2021 and these ones are like crazy. Like this, like for 2021, like, yo.
We gotta have you back then so you can give us the team for 2021. We know that NDA chat is real.
Yes, dude, that one is gonna be crazy. Like that one is gonna be like, all of the top boutiques across the world have collaborated with this brand. It's a brand that you use in your everyday life.
Oh my God.
But it's gonna be wild. Like it's gonna be some crazy stuff.
Zaid, I think it's so incredible. Your story alone, your hustle, your come up, it's major. And to see kids today, we saw you there in Mabuning, kids are running up to you to ask for autographs, like, can we take a picture of you? And you're not the traditional mainstream celeb that everyone, like a rapper or a DJ, but you're so well known and so well respected, and you are living proof that if you work really, really hard and you believe in something, you're passionate about it, you go balls to the wall, you can be successful. And you're doing that and taking your brand, which is proudly African, all over the world. And you're a true inspiration story. So thank you for sharing your chat with us. And
I truly appreciate you having me. And shout out, all the best for the series. Looking forward to it. Vibes.
That's a wrap!